Right. Well, first of all, thank you everyone for being here. It's a pleasure to see you all. I see some of the usual suspects and some new people. So I'm very glad to see you all here. We're starting on time. We're going to end on time. We'll probably end like about 5 minutes before so we can come in for a smooth landing at the end. Um, my role at Agile Boston is I'm one of the on the leadership team with Joe and Pooja and Ann, and we all deliver the Give Thanks for Scrum event to you all. For those of you that don't know me, I put my bio there in the chat, and I want to talk a little bit about the event that's coming up, and then introduce Diego and get underway. Okay, so. So, um, we have the 17th annual Give Thanks for Scrum event coming up this year. And every year is a little bit different, right? So we are going to have a fun, interactive AM. We're going to bring you a woman named Rita McGrath as the opening keynote. Rita is actually a world-renowned management consultant and professor at Columbia University, the author of 3 or 4 books. And here's a little bit about Rita right here. And you can go to her website, which I put in the chat. She's going to give a 20 to 25-minute keynote. Um, and she's a well-known thought leader in the management and innovation space. So she's going to do the keynote for us. And then for the 17th annual event, our focus is on these 3 big ideas. I'm going to put them in the chat. And those 3 big ideas are a new focus on tangible results above everything else. Buyers are no longer interested in theories, training, or terminology. What they really want is tangible, measurable results. And Diego's going to speak directly to that during his talk. Secondly, incorporating AI into Scrum practices. This is becoming increasingly important. There's no ignoring AI in this work anymore. And then the third thing is the necessary evolution of the Scrum role, and this speaks to the authority of the Scrum Master. If you have a Scrum Master who does not have access to executive leaders, for example, you're not going to be okay. All right, so those are the 3 big themes we're going to cover in the Give Thanks for Scrum event. We're promising an absolutely great event this year. We're going to be doing a kind of um, interactive morning where we're going to break into 3 large groups and cycle through 3 rooms and answer these and discuss these 3 big themes. And then we're going to get together and do a big all group interactive event around debating some of these topics. So we're promising an opportunity to really mix with everyone, have a great time, learn some things, and then we'll have lunch, and then in the afternoon, of course, we'll have Jeff Sutherland, the CEO of Scrum Inc., and then we'll have Dave West, the CEO of Scrum Org, and of course, the whole thing is about Scrum being born in Boston, right? I mean, that's the whole idea of this event. So I'm going to put the link to actually getting a ticket right in the chat right here, just for your own info. If you want to get a ticket, you can just click that anytime you like, or you can go to our website and get to it as well. And that's the story. So now I want to introduce my colleague and friend Diego Davalos. He comes to us from Bolivia, of all places, which happens to be in the same exact time zone as us. So we're good that way. Diego, I've known for several years. He and I have done a bunch of work together, and Diego works in the consumer products industry, I think we would say. He works for an international
Exactly.
consumer products company, and his focus is on business agility. So he is coming at it from the point of view of business agility results. He hasn't done anything around software and agility, so his perspective will be quite unique. Okay. So I now introduce you to Diego Davalos, and he's going to give us our talk. I'm going to run the slides, and Diego's going to tell me like exactly what to do with these slides. Okay. So I'm going to get started with my share. And Diego, are you ready to roll?
Yes, yes, of course, Daniel. Thank you very much. Well, first of all, I want to thank Daniel and the Agile Boston community for the invitation. It's an honor to be here with you and with such a passionate group of agilists, leaders, and practitioners. I know your time is valuable, and my goal today is to make sure every minute you spend here gives you something practical you can use immediately. This session is about turning agility into commitment, focus, and results, and not into ceremonies, not into frameworks, not into theater, right? Agility is not about filling calendars with rituals. It's about creating real progress that your executives, your teams, and your stakeholders can actually see and feel. By the end of this talk, you will leave with a specific how-tos, things that you can apply as soon as next week or tomorrow to help your teams make faster decisions, feel more engaged, and consistently deliver outcomes that matter. So for the first slide here, let's be honest. Too often, what we call agile collapses into bureaucracy. It becomes heavy with rituals, filled with motion, but producing very little progress or very little value. Maybe you have seen this before: meetings that grow longer and longer, decisions that take weeks instead of hours, and teams trapped in what I call or like to call the agile theater, going through the motions without delivering real impact. This is the problem we need to face. Rituals don't guarantee results. So in this talk, we are moving away from process compliance, checking the boxes of agile ceremonies, and instead focusing on value creation, on practices that actually deliver outcomes executives care about. For the
Next slide.
next slide.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, this is the core, the three levers that conform the core of agility that delivers. First, we have value over process. Agile doesn't succeed because we follow every ceremony. It succeeds when we make sure that every activity is tied to a clear value hypothesis. Second, short feedback loops. Long cycle create waste. Short loops accelerate learning, reduce risk, and build momentum. And third, decisions belong to the team. When teams owns decisions inside clear guardrails, they feel progress, energy goes up, and engagement grows. Over time, this happiness lets to deliver more in less time. So when you combine these three levers with good facilitation and strong leadership, you can unlock the outcomes executive actually care about, that are revenue, speed, quality, and consistency. Next slide, please. So here are some 5 standard agile practices that consistently lead to success. We're talking about result-based targets. Instead of tracking only activities, we set goals tied to outcome. This keeps the team focused on delivering measurable business results. Then we have regular prioritization. Priorities are never static. By revisiting and reordering regularly, we make sure that the team is always working on what brings the highest value at that moment. Then we have workflow visualization, that basically is Kanban. Making the flow visible changes everything, right? When everyone can see where the work is, where it's blocked, and what's next, transparency drives better decisions. For the fourth item is retrospective meetings, continuous feedback. So agility means learning. Retrospectives allows us to pause, reflect, and adapt. Small adjustments every cycle compound into massive improvements over time. And for the final part, user-centered iterative projects. Agile projects are complex and exploratory, so we put the end user at the center. Through iterative delivery, continuous prioritization, and empowered cross-functional teams, governance frames the what, while teams define the how. This balance creates both accountability and autonomy. In the next slide, please, Daniel.
Yep.
Well, this is a key topic about the backlog refinement. That basically the backlog refinement is when everything starts. And there's a truth: if the backlog is bad, everything will be bad. Refinement is not only a status meeting. Don't let it drift into progress updates. or talking about how is it going, right? Basically, we need to have like the only valid reason to talk in the backlog refinement is that we need to add or refine this item because we realized something new. This meeting is about group cognition, the team learning together, not a manager or product owner monologue. Everyone participates. If you see two people going back and forth endlessly, stop it and bring in other voices. It's important to scan the room, to scan who's seeking authority, who's helping, and who's pushing back. This awareness will help us to balance the dynamics and keep the group healthy. And the impact of doing this is huge. A strong refinement leads to a strong planning, and then a strong planning leads to better execution. So a facilitation script that you can use during these meetings is it's basically let's pause. I'm hearing only two voices or one voice. I would like at least two or more voices or more perspectives before we can continue. Next slide, please, Daniel.
Okay. Yeah, Diego, you've covered an enormous amount of ground in a very short period of time. And this
Yeah,
orange banner here, if the backlog is bad, everything will be bad. It's like that's like a bumper sticker I want to put on my car. So,
yeah, it's great.
right. So I guess my question is, does anyone want to ask Diego a question before we move on to the rest of the slides? Does anyone have a question? David Hanson, hi.
Yeah, I had a question about what he meant by
Oh, David.
only add refine because we realized. If you could
Yeah,
elaborate on that.
go ahead, Diego. Yeah.
Sorry, didn't hear very well.
The only add refine box, I didn't necessarily follow what your point was for that box.
The second box. I think
Oh
what he's
yeah,
saying is during refinement, we should be doing
yeah,
refinement, not discussing
exactly.
status.
This is talking about the only discussion that we need to have in during the backlog discussion is about adding or refining any tasks because we realized that we didn't cover this task first, so we need to expand it. Or we realized that in the future, in the next two sprints or next 2 weeks, we should address this topic. So we should have it in the backlog, right? This
Yep.
is this awareness basically is what lets the team to keep fulfilling tasks and starting to accelerate. This is what it talks about.
In Diego, also, it's about making backlog refinement the meeting about backlog refinement, not
Exactly,
review, not
exactly,
progress tracking, not chit chat, but actual refinement, right?
exactly. Yes, totally.
Okay, is there another question out there? Anybody? Okay, we'll move on to the next slide. Here we go.
So the next slide is very important, right? These are the four simple but powerful keys to make agility actually deliver results. So these four basically are keep a clean and clear backlog. That what we are talking about. The backlog is the heartbeat of the team. If it's messy, the whole system gets messy. So clarity in the backlog means clarity in execution. Then we have to ensure stakeholders attend to the review. Reviews without stakeholders are practically a waste. If the right people aren't in the room, feedback arrives too late. And when stakeholders show up, the teams feels validated and the businesses stay connected to the work. The third one is basically maintain at least 2 iterations in the backlog. This avoids the trap of telling the team what to do week by week. So having at least 2 iterations of ready work ensures stability while still allowing flexibility. And for the last, finishing everything the teams commits to. Commitments matter. So when a team finishes everything they say they would, the trust builds. And when trust builds, basically autonomy grows. And so does performance. So in this manner, the teams will tend to accelerate more and deliver more in less time. So these keys may sound simple, but when practiced consistently, they are the foundation of a strong, engaged, and result-driven teams. Next one, please, Daniel. So here I'm referring to this meeting diet that basically are the shortened meetings plus the Pareto, where 20% of ceremonies gives us the 80% of value. So here's the weekly cycle that only has 90 minutes on it. So it's the simplified structure inspired by Scrum, but adapted with Pareto thinking. we found that by reducing ceremonies, we can achieve 80% of the value with 20% of the meetings. There are some clear differences with the Scrum guide. Basically, we don't run daily scrums. We combine the review, the retrospective, and the planning into a single 1 hour block. And we don't do a formal retrospective. It's integrated into the weekly review. So now let's look how this cycle actually works in practice, right? We are talking about a backlog refinement or pre-planning that lasts only 30 minutes. So we can add details and refine each card until it's small, clear, and has a definition of done. Ensure these cards can be completed in 1 week or less, and capture new ideas or improvement opportunities as new cards. Then we have this weekly review that basically is other 30 minutes, and the purpose is to inspect last week of work. Then we have the weekly planet that has another 30 minutes, and the purpose is to plan the next week. We have some pretty clear roles. Basically, the product owner decides what is prioritized before planning and interfaces directly with stakeholders. Then we have the team that chooses how many cars to take into the process, responsible and accountable for delivering quality work. And then we have the stakeholders that provide feedback during the weekly review.
Yeah, I have a question about this. You mentioned this stakeholder commitment in the previous two ago slides, and now you're mentioning it again. The review, what what are the benefits of having the stakeholder there, and what are the dangers of having them absent?
Well, basically, by having the stakeholder in the review, first of all, that we have the feedback firsthand. We know if we are doing okay, or maybe we are off track in something. Then by having the stakeholder there, it means that the job that the team is creating, and all this value that is being created, it's important, right? So the message to the whole team it's very important, because they know that their work matters. So that's I believe that's the pivotal thing about having a stakeholder there in the review, to have like the team and knowing that our job matters. And also, well, the danger of not having the stakeholder there is basically that we wouldn't know about any feedback if we are good, on good track, or we are not in a real good time. So we are affecting all this cycle of feedbacks that we should address, right? These
Hmm.
are the dangers and the benefits of having the stakeholder there. So it's very important. Then basically, when we look at meetings, there are only two kinds of meetings that matter. The first type is about discussion. This is like the backlog refinement. The purpose is to generate options, share perspectives, and explore possibilities. It's where we expand thinking. And the second time is deciding. This is like planning. The purpose here is not talk endlessly, but to commit and act. The team makes choices, sets direction, and moves forward. So here's the problem. Most teams confuse these two, right? They talk into a discussion and expect decisions, or they walk into a decision-making meeting and fall back into endless discussion. That's when time is wasted, energy goes down, and progress stalls. The key is to the clarity of intent. If we are in a discussion, our goal is to expand and explore. And if we are in a decision, our goal is to converge, to commit, and to act. When teams learn to differentiate, meetings get shorter, sharper, and much more effective. Then one of the most powerful levers in agility is placing the decision-making power where it belongs, inside the teams. Why? Because progress equals happiness. When decisions move forward instead of getting stuck, the energy in the room goes up. People feel momentum. Second, empowerment drives engagement. When teams own the decisions, they don't just execute tasks. They feel ownership of the results. That shift from I'm doing my job to I'm driving the outcome. That changes everything. And third, more joy equals more speed. Happy teams that feel trusted and empowered consistently deliver more in less time. Of course, this doesn't mean chaos. Teams own decisions within clear guardrails, boundaries set by leadership. Inside those boundaries, autonomy drives. And when autonomy drives, accountability follows naturally. So if you want engagement, don't just ask teams to be responsible for tasks, give them the accountability for decisions. Well, for next, great leadership in Agile is always about balancing two things: psychological safety and a high bar of excellence. So we need both. First, celebrate quick learning. Even when something fails, what matters is that the team learned fast. By celebrating the learning, not just the success, we create an environment where experimentation is safe and innovation becomes possible. Second, when the flow is good, stay out of the way. We have to protect the flow. Watch the clock, but don't interrupt. Sometimes the best leadership is simply letting the team run while making sure time boundaries are respected. And third, when the team gets stuck, that's the moment to step in. Offer two concrete options, let the team choose, and then move forward. This maintains accountability while preventing paralysis. The principle here is simple. Leaders don't need to solve everything. They need to create safety for learning, maintain high standards, and protect the team's flow. When those three conditions exist, results follow naturally. Then we have to address this topic about responsibility versus accountability. This distinction is critical for agile teams. Responsibility means doing the work. For example, a sales rep is responsible for visiting the point of sale, placing materials, and reporting inventory. Accountability means owning the result. That same sales rep may have visited every store, but if execution was poor and sales dropped, the team must still own the outcome. The key difference is this: responsibility is about tasks and commitments. Accountability is about results and learning. So in an agile context, responsibility is completing backlog items, for example, and accountability is making sure those outcomes actually generate the intended business outcome, delivering value. And here's the powerful part. When teams embrace accountability, they stop hiding behind excuses and start learning from results. They don't just explain what they did, they adapt, they improve, and they grow stronger. Then we have to talk about metrics that matter when it comes to measuring agility. The real challenge is to avoid these vanity metrics. It's not only just about share market or generic volume numbers. Those might look good in a report, but they don't actually tell us if agility is delivering value. The point is to connect agile practices directly to business outcomes. The most pivotal metric, I believe, is stakeholder satisfaction, or NPS, because stakeholders are the true customers of our system. If they are not satisfied, nothing else matters. A simple practice is to ask stakeholders once a month, how likely are you to recommend this team's ways of working? And then, why? That single question gives you both a score and qualitative feedback to improve. Alongside Net Promoter Score, we track other leading indicators like time to decision, how fast choices are made, flow efficiency, how much of the work cycle is value adding, throughput per week, how many items were complete, commitment consistency, do we finish what we planned? And quality, are outcomes getting standards without rework? So these are the metrics that matter because they reflect whether agility is creating speed, focus, and trust. Then we have this topic that basically we have to know that the first weeks are messy. This is completely normal. With Agile, the first weeks always feel messy, and that's perfectly normal. Week one usually feels very bumpy. The team is learning a new rhythm. Ceremonies may feel awkward, and people are still adjusting to transparency. By weeks 2 and 3, things start to smooth out. The teams find flow, decisions get quicker, and energy starts shifting from confusion to confidence. By week 4, you're able to show the first tangible results, real outcomes, not just rituals. And this is the moment where stakeholders begin to see the difference agility can make. At this point, it's crucial to hold a feedback and decision meeting. Ask openly to the team, should we continue with Agile? Giving stakeholders a voice here builds trust. And in practice, once they have seen results, the answer is almost yes. Or the team always says yes to continue applying these agile ways of working. And well, it's always better to set some ground rules to make our online collaboration smoother and more effective. So here are some of the 4 rules that we were applying on our teams, and basically we were having great results with this. First of all, video on, presence matters. Seeing each other builds connection and helps us read nonverbal cues. Agile is about collaboration, and faces create trust. Then we have to start and finish on time. Time discipline shows respect for each other. If we want agility to mean speed and focus, meetings can't start late or drag on unnecessarily. Time checks in chat. We will use the chat to keep track of timing and energy. Quick signals like 5 minutes left helps us to stay sharp without breaking the flow. And then one screen, one focused, multitasking kills collaboration in this aspect. Let's all commit to being fully present. One screen, one conversation, one team moving forward. This may sound simple, but consistency in these basics builds the culture that makes agility work. So some case study highlights on how agility delivers exceptional results that I am having between the last 2 or 3 months. That basically these are the real results that I've seen so far. Accelerated transformation. What was initially planned as a 6 months transition, we achieved in just 2 months. So agility gives us the speed and adaptability to compress timelines dramatically. Record-breaking results. In August, we achieved the highest sales of 2025. That's no coincidence. It's evidence that agility translates directly into business outcomes. Stronger teams, basically our teams are now structured, more synergized, and better aligned to sharp goals. The clarity and rhythm of agile practices gave everyone a sense of progress and direction. And we have also identified expanding impact. Agile is no longer a pilot. It's spreading across projects. It's creating a ripple effect and amplifying effectiveness company-wide. So agility here isn't just ceremonies. It's speed, record results, stronger teams, and company-wide impact.
Okay, so now I want to point out a couple of things. First thing is that Diego, like I said before, has not had any agility inside software. He's not a software guy. He's a business guy focused on sales, trade marketing, and so forth in this consumer products company. Okay. It's actually a company that is involved in sales distribution in the nicotine industry. Okay. So Diego's coming at this from a very unique point of view, and he's covered a lot of ground. I'm going to put the slide back up. Are there any questions that you want to ask Diego before we go a little bit further with the session? You might have a question in because he delivered a lot in a short period of time. I want to pause long enough to take any question from anyone before we keep going.
I
Go
might
ahead.
be curious where he started. Like, what was his starting point? Did they already try Agile? Had they never tried Agile? Did they have a traditional process, no process, ad hoc?
Well, basically, what when we start with Agile, well, we have like this culture between the company that approaches the all the Agile way of thinking, right? The philosophy. So we started to get deep into that, and then we started to focus on a particular project about this loyalty program with customers. So we started to develop this program in the agile way. Okay, so that was the first. This all these things that I was talking about, I have like experimented in firsthand. I was a subject to it, so I can prove it works, right? Then we started to as this project started to give better results and great results, we started to have all the agile ways of working into other projects and across the company. So we're talking about like 2 years from now, and that's the way it started. We started with avoiding the three T's, as Daniel calls it. About at start, we didn't talk about training, we didn't talk about theory. Um, we only focused on um, empiricism, right, and learning by doing. So this was pivotal for us because we have like people on board where when they started to see results, and then we started like to having all this theory, all this background, and coach the teams for this. So the start was very, very, very empirical, was showing results, and then we started like having all the theory to the teams, right? That was the first thing that we did.
Is there a, do you have a follow-up question, or is there another question that we can pose to Diego? Shilan?
Yeah, I really appreciate how Diego really emphasized on the first point, focusing on tangible results. And I resonate with the training by doing rather than trying to teach them everything. In fact, I'm leading a transformation with the IT team from a legacy team to a more contemporary approach. And my approach has been giving them micro trainings in the context of their work.
Yes.
But there's two other points in today's focus. I wonder if you can elaborate a little bit, which is incorporating AI into Scrum and how you are doing that, and as well as how are you evolving the Scrum Master role?
Well, basically, AI it's a very strong tool for us. Uh, the teams tend to use more AI, and yeah, we've been using that as a tool. This allows us um, to comprehend even more, to have more um, topics in our tasks. Um, yeah, I can say that to you. And how it's evolving the Scrum Master role. Well, I believe it's pretty great because um, the tool for like the tool is really powerful. So I believe that's really great for
Yeah.
us like as a Scrum Masters.
Okay. Yeah, maybe other folks can jump in on the Scrum Master evolution piece as well. Like I find AI now, it's the efficiency finder or factor for us trying to use that. Like, what can you do as a baseline of human being? But then when you layer on, AI component, how much how can we accelerate? So this we're kind of using that as a way of gauging the effectiveness of AI. The Scrum Master role, I find it the folks that we get from the marketplace still focus on the ceremony, not the tangible results. And
Right.
they're very uncomfortable to step out of that. Can you share some
Exactly.
thoughts, Dan?
I'm laughing out loud because, counting ceremonies and measuring vanity metrics is much easier than measuring tangible results. And of course, the problem is that many factors that are inputs into tangible results, Agile is not the only input. So, then it becomes like, okay, how much of an effect did Agile have? But I think Diego pointed out that the spread of agility comes from stakeholder satisfaction. And in fact, it's usually the stakeholders that sell it to the rest of the organization because they're getting what they want.
Yep.
Right? So this is the key is for the stakeholders to be engaged and then for them to be happy, which they will be because we have the goods and we're delivering on the processed goods, right?
Mhm.
Um, so to speak. We have a superior process, and we can be fully confident in that. So, Diego, do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, well, basically, it's very important that we understand that Agile it has evolved, right, and it's still evolving. So that's what we emphasize really with when we start to address the Agile ways of working with the teams. That okay, let's try this for 4 weeks. Okay, it's gonna be a little bumpy, it's gonna be messy, but now at the 4 week we're going to have a meeting, and then we will have your feedback, and you as a team will tell us, okay, this meeting is working, this meeting is not working. Oh, what do you think if we start having this type of meetings, or we address this type of subjects in this way? So this whole like tropicalization, if you want to say it, or having like the teams adapt the agile ways of working, it's very, very important, because if it's not doing that way, teams are, or people are going to have like this what is addressed as the agile industrial complex, right? We are going to impose the agile on them, and that's not really good, because the greatest things in life happen when you want to do these things, right? So that's, I believe that that's very, very important for us to keep doing, like to have agile, and being able to have the team feedback, and we can have some adjustments there to being able to continue working with those teams especially.
Okay, very nice. So now we'll wrap it up with the last two slides, and then we'll take a bunch of questions. Okay. So should I go to the next slide, Diego?
Yes, please, Daniel.
Okay.
So basically, to wrap this up, let's summarize this what truly makes agility work. Discipline, basically, agility is not chaos, it's consistency and commitment. Short, frequent cycles only deliver results if the team respect the cadence. Motivation comes from progress. When the team feels in control, when they see continuous improvement, energy rises. That's what I call vibes up, and motivated teams deliver outstanding results. High performance teams, also Agile thrives when teams embrace a high accomplishers mindset, faster adaptation, better collaboration, and continuous learning. Start fast, don't overthink the start. The sooner you begin, the sooner you learn. Every iteration is an opportunity to adjust and improve. As Daniel Messick, here present, says, when everybody agrees, you can do amazing things. And visualization and order. Chaos kills agility. Clear visuals, organized flows, and transparency allow teams to collaborate effectively and prevent rework. And the key takeaway basically is the start is super powerful, because once you get going with discipline, motivation, and clarity, agility becomes unstoppable. Thank you very much.
And there we go. So now anything can happen, and it usually does in this meeting. People ask questions. Thank you for that floating applause hands that went up there. And that's a neat trick. I want to know how to do that too.
Yeah.
So now we just take some questions. So Diego, you're giving the answers, and other folks are giving the questions. So here we go.
Of course.
So if you want to raise, everyone's doing the clapping. It looks easier than
great.
It
Thank
looks
you
a
very
lot
much.
easier than it actually is, though, right?
Yeah. Yes, totally.
Just go to react, Dan. There's a heart that says react.
React, and then what do you get to do?
Click on that, you get to do whatever you want.
Oh, I can do whatever I want.
You can do reaction.
Yeah,
So
nice.
if
Okay.
you want to
Okay,
send a
thank you.
heart, you can do a heart. Just like that. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, nice one.
A lot of hearts, Diego.
So-
We'll send you a lot
Yeah.
of love down to Bolivia.
That's great. Yeah.
So to keep it orderly, if you click react and then raise your hand like this, like I'm doing, and then you can lower your hand. That'll help me to see you and see your question. So who's got a question for Diego, who, like I said before, knows nothing about software agility and is a businessman, right? Working in a sales organization, who's reporting great results with something that's not Scrum, actually. So Who's got a question for him?
I've thrown it in the chat, but I was kind of curious because it sounds like you need maybe a mature team to kind of dive into this already, in order to kind of manage all of that. We called it coordination tax around a team. And also kind of, what do you see as like, is this a one person coordinating with one team, or is that person also going to be coordinating multiple teams, say?
Well, basically, we have experience with both of them, right? We have one person coordinating with various teams, and in also like across countries even. So it went pretty well because this knowledge, like, it applies and generates results. And also we have like this team's only coordinated with one person in the same country or same region. So it's been doing great, great results. So I believe that you could apply it on both. Basically, that's what we set, something like the ground rules for video conference or video meetings, because in that way we have like much closer communication, right? It's all about communication and practicing basically the three pillars of Scrum, right? We need to have like constant inspection. We have to have adapting, and also we need transparency. So applying this, it is going to go well. You were talking about mature teams, right? So it also we try it with mature teams, and we try it with people that they didn't have like some national roles or something even more like complex, and it bring results. That's because everyone feels comfortable in talking in the meetings, in having some ideas there in the backlog, or discussing new ways of on reaching results. So yeah, you can apply it on both. I believe we have been doing this, and it's doing great. So that's my advice for you. Even it's this even
Evan, yeah, and Evan,
Evan,
I
great.
want to also say the daily Scrum. Sometimes it's not super practical when people are all over the world. They have
Exactly.
business travel, they have personal time off, people get sick, they're all over the place in different time zones. So what we found was that if you have a 1 week cycle, the daily scrum is less important. If you have a longer cycle, it's like a month or 3 weeks or even 2 weeks, then you need that daily, especially in software agility, but maybe less so at business agility. That's what we learned. All right, another question.
Isam has a question. His hand up anyway.
Yes. Hi. This is my first time, so thank you for having me. Um,
Great.
Diego, there's couple couple questions. First of all, so you talk about this as sales. What was the sales cycle that made the length of the sales cycle that made like the 1 week effective or work? Because I've worked at companies where sales cycles are like huge, and that 1 week will become, you don't see a lot of results or a lot of stuff to discuss. I'm assuming that's where you
Mhm.
applied it to move these cycles forward.
Well, basically, the cycles that we address here in the company is 1 month length. So we're talking about regularly having 4 sprints, 1 week per sprint at each month. So yeah, this is basically because we wanted to get the teams focused on what delivers value. We in some point we like talked about having 2 week sprints, but what happens there is basically that people tend to leave all the things for the second week and doesn't do anything in the first one, right?
Mhm.
So having the 1 week sprint is very useful, very powerful, because people stays on track on what they need to do. And we also, as like we have all the information of what's going on, what are those problems that we need to focus and we need to address, and we have like very consistent job in every week to week. So yeah, that's what basically is happening here in the company in Bolivia.
Yeah, and I want to add something to this, Diego. You know, I've been doing this coaching since about 2006, and I've been coaching executive leaders and the teams that they are leading through transformation since about 2012, 2013. And recently I discovered something new about large companies. Okay. Large companies have an array, a collection of systemic delays. Okay, so there's a lot of delay inside large companies, and it's like so. For example, there can be massive delays can be generated through the legal function because legal has to give approval to sales, to marketing, things to branding, etc. So here's what people logically do: they juggle four projects at the same time because they know that each one of them at some point will hit delay. And when project one hits delay, I can move to project two. Okay, so everyone has four projects, all right, because they're trying to manage the fact that delay is systemic. Okay, so this brings up the impact of the 1 week sprint. Okay, with a 1 week sprint, your project gets prioritized to the top of the individual's list. The person who has four projects, they put yours at the top because yours is on a 1 week cadence, not a 2 week cadence or a 1 month cadence. Okay. So this is actually a key thing about getting progress in business agility is to go with the 1 week sprint so that it gets prioritized topmost. It's a little bit sneaky, but it works really good. 1 week sprints.
Exactly.
Um, the so thank you. And then the other part of my question is, um, it's both cultural and from two different aspects. So to me, I found working with Latin America that people are more. Uh, are okay with going with the flow, actually, a little bit more. They're more okay with like, hey, we're gonna do Scrum, so let's go try it, and they will try it. I found American culture to be a little bit more resistant. And the same thing goes from an engineering to possibly a business side, right? Engineers just become very hot-headed, and when you ask the question, the simple one, which to me, like, I don't know, maybe I had the PTSD with it, which is, do you guys want to do Scrum or not? And you never get even yes or no. You just get like an argument about the good and the bad, and never get to an answer. Have you? And I'm trying, you're probably trying to put like a good story through your slides, but have you experienced some of those challenges through that process?
Of course, yeah, of course. That's the first like challenge that you have when presenting this, right? First of all, now nobody believes you. Like, yeah, I don't know, you're talking nonsense, right? So we Daniel here taught me a very very great lesson that basically what you have to say to these teams is, okay, we are going to try this methodology, and for like 4 weeks you have to pretend that everything I say is true. Okay,
Mhm.
everything I say is true. So then we are going to have these meetings, we are going to have this length of the meetings, everybody's have to be with the videos on, everybody has to be on time, we're going to finish and start on time, etc., etc. So then as the people see the results, they say like, yeah, this actually works, and we should continue doing this and developing this. We are comfortable with this. Maybe we can have some adjustments here and there, but yeah, we should continue this, right? So that's the way, that's one of the ways that we kill this like that is very common, right? I totally understand what you're saying. So this is very powerful. This is the way that we should address the teams, and we should approach it like this I can tell you. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And this thing that is Isam, is that how I say it? Isam?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
This thing that Isam said is really true, right? So I have a computer science degree. I was a programmer for 10 years. I was attracted to programming because it gave me control, right? I could build a world of my own construction, and people are random and messy, and code is non-random and linear, you know what I mean? So when you bring process change to a person like that, you're gonna trigger an allergic reaction, right? So this is what happens in engineering teams. But it's interesting what you said about Latin America versus USA culture, right? And I that's an interesting comment. So thank you for that one.
Yes, thank you, Sam. Yeah.
You.
All right, do we have another question or two? We're kind of coming in for a landing here. We probably have another 5 minutes of Q&A and discussion, and then we're going to come in for a smooth landing at the end. Is there another question for Diego?
I have a follow-up I think it's related to Evan's question and maybe Daniel, your comment about distributed teams. I'm curious, your teams are they collaborating daily? Are they more or less working independently daily? And if they're collaborating daily, how are they coordinating that daily collaboration?
Well, yes, basically our teams collaborate daily. So we have the ceremonies, but it's pretty free for them to collaborate. We like we want this to happen, right? Because we know to have this work, or the group should learn, and this we basically, in the way that we manage to approach this is in the backlog refinement, right? So this is very, very, very powerful also, because all the people knows what the other person is doing and what's the job that he is developing. So with this transparency, basically now with fully understanding of what they are doing, they tend to reach one another, right? Hey, I need some help on this. Or what do you use, or what do you how do you develop this, and etc. So that's pretty great. But the key factor in this is the backlog refinement. So that's why we need to have them discuss as a team, right? It shouldn't be lead, but by one or two people. This should be like the whole group interacting. And in that manner, this with time, we have the interactions that we need, and the jobs, the tasks get accomplished.
Thank you. So now we're close to the end of the our talk here. Is there any closing questions or closing remarks that anybody wants to make before we kind of head into the end of the end?
Dan, if there are no other questions, do you want to just mention for those who weren't here at the start of the call about give thanks? Just one more mention of that in case.
Yes. So I
But
put
first, I think we're going to thank Diego again for a fantastic talk.
Yeah, Diego, let's have a formal thank you to Diego. Diego, thank you very much, sir. Great
Thanks
job.
to you.
Fantastic.
Thanks to
Very
you.
good.
Thank
Very
you,
good.
guys.
Thank you so
Great
much for
to be here.
yes. Thank you so much for your the time that you spent. So yeah, I'm putting some things in the chat here, and these have to do with the Give Thanks for Scrum event. We have a keynote from a woman named Rita McGrath, who's a world-renowned consultant in the innovation space. She teaches at Columbia University. She's written several books, and she's going to kick off our event in the morning. And then the event itself is going to focus on three big ideas. This is on November 25th, the 17th annual Give Thanks for Scrum event. A new focus on tangible results, which is what Diego spoke to, right? And the second one is incorporation of AI into Scrum practices in very practical terms, augmenting what we already do today to make it better with AI. And the third one is the necessary evolution of the Scrum Master role. Where, we had a lot of disempowered Scrum Masters who were basically treated as clerks in the previous cycle or epoch of agility, but we're in a new world now. And empowered teams have empowered facilitators, and those empowered facilitators have access to people in power, right? This is what actually works. So we're going to be discussing this at the Give Thanks for Scrum. We're also going to have a lot of interactive activity. The whole morning is about interactivity. You're going to meet people. You're going to make new friends. You're going to connect with old friends, and you're going to work down low in groups that are like 1/3 or 1/4 of the entire membership will work as a group in the morning, cycle through these 3 big topics, and then we're going to have a big, large group event called the debate, which is always fun and exciting. And that can be a spectator sport, or you can jump in at any time. So it's sort of an opt-in thing at the very end of the morning before lunch. And then we'll have a great lunch. And then, of course, Jeff Sutherland from Scrum Inc., Dave West from Scrum Org, and we'll have a panel. Joe and myself will be on it with Dave and Jeff. And we'll have a raffle at the end of lunch. So we're promising a really great social event, face-to-face, in Burlington on the 25th. And I certainly hope you make it. I put the link in the chat and in all of that. So I hope you
may
go
I
ahead.
just add, last year, if for those who attended or you know about it, our theme was the future of Scrum with a question mark. Because there's so much uncertainty in the industry. Is Scrum dead? Is Agile dead? We're seeing Scrum Masters and product owners being laid off in record numbers. Is this the end? And this particular event is, no, there is a future for Scrum and agility, and we're going to tell you what that future is. And what Diego talked about today is one part of it, being a results-driven organization. You know, the goal of Scrum is not to have a daily Scrum. The goal of Scrum is to deliver the right value as frequently as you needed. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about incorporating AI. And then the whole concept of authority is super critical. I would point you, if you're not a member, please subscribe to our Agile Boston YouTube channel. You'll see this event there. I'll post it up this week. But you'll also see past events and podcasts. I definitely would point you to a podcast that I had last year with David West from scrum.org, where he talks about the authority of the Scrum Master and the best titles that a Scrum Master should have. And there's also a 1-minute short on that as well. But it really is about authority. And that is part of the future of Scrum. So last year we questioned, is there a future? The answer is yes. And this year we're going to tell you what are the key elements of that future.
Excellent, Joe. We got 3
Great.
minutes before we finish up, and I'm particularly proud of the fact that we always finish on time. It's always fun to finish a little bit sooner. People want to take a bio break or smoke a cigarette or whatever else they're going to do before they go to the next meeting. And we all have back-to-back meetings in the same seat all day long. So how do they say it in the U.S. Congress? We yield our remaining time. Thank you. Thanks for each of you for showing up for this event. We had great participation and attendance today. Almost everyone who signed up showed up according to the numbers. So I hope you really got a lot out of it. And Diego, how do we reach you? Could you put in the chat how folks can reach you if they want to ask you a personal question? Can you
Yes,
put
of
that
course.
in the chat?
Let me get my personal number here, and I will have my email there also. Okay.
Beautiful.
And I'll put all this information in the YouTube channel as well, in the description of the event, so you can get it there if you don't get it in the chat.
Excellent. Yeah, because so many times you think about it later on in the day and you're like, oh, I should ask this question, right?
Exactly.
So
There you go.
There's Diego's email and there's his cell phone. So there you go. So thanks to each and every one of you. I wish you a great rest of your day. Thank you for coming, and I hope between now and the next time we meet, you will keep the world safe for Scrum and Agile until we meet again.
Take care, everyone. Peace.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much, everyone.